Wow, all new, as seen on TV. Fidget spinners for your fingers? The latest craze now shrunken down just for your fingertips. Before you wonder what's going on, don't panic, I'm going to say it. Hello and welcome to another video from Natasha Lee. Now I'm exceptionally husky this week, but that's not stopping me from bringing you these amazing fidget spinner fingernails. And feel free to take the mick out of my American accent in the comments section down below. Now this week I'm going to be using some professional products, including the Prohesion liquid and powder, which is basically acrylic, and my Uber Chic matte. And to begin, I'm picking up some really dry beads. Now these do have to be super dry to be able to get this effect. If you don't use acrylic, don't worry, head over to Maggie from Red Ted Art's tutorial on how to produce your own finger spinners, and then just make smaller versions of them for your nails. And once you've placed those 3 beads on your mat, you're going to need to work quite quickly. Maybe not as quick as me because I was working under studio lights, but you can see I'm just tucking in each side and starting to work carefully around the outside to get that finger spinner shape. When you're comfortable with the shape, start to pat on the outside and then tuck back in again. And whilst your acrylic or liquid and powder is still quite soft, go in with a metal dotting tool or a cocktail stick and put a hole at each of the ends of the prongs or the arms, and then a slightly smaller one in the centre. Use the opportunity whilst your acrylic is still slightly soft to actually manipulate it into a shape that you want. And if you don't have to produce one out of acrylic and you're going to do it out of paper instead, then use the time you've saved to go and watch Phil Green's video on everything that's wrong with fidget spinners. To get a really perfect shape, once my little acrylic fidget spinner is dry, I'm going in with my E-file and a range of different bits at the end, just to hone that shape. And you can see here that anywhere that there's any lumps or bumps sticking out, I'm just going to take my E-file and take them down. And if you are doing this, just be careful you don't catch your fingers or your fingernails. And then I'm going to round down any sharp edges, and this bit, I don't know what it's called, but it looks a bit like a unicorn horn. And I'm using it to perfect the holes at the end of the fidget spinner, and then only going halfway on the one in the centre, because we don't want to make that hole too big, otherwise our pinhead will go straight through it. Check on a pin to make sure that it spins but doesn't go straight through with the pinhead, and if it does, you're ready to start painting it. Now I'm using this gorgeous colour called First Class Kiss from All That Jazz, and I'm doing a coat on the bottom and then on the top of the fidget spinner and just around the edges. This is so fine I am having to use tweezers. Again, if you don't use acrylic liquid and powder, don't let that stop you. Watch Maggie's video where she has some templates in the description and just shrink them right down to make little card ones for your fingernails instead. In the meantime, I'm just sponging on my All That Jazz First Class Kiss and my Morgan Taylor Shock Therapy, which is one of my all-time favourite colours. Now to make it really realistic, I'm taking some metal dotting tools and my silver holographic from Colour Club called Harp on it, and we're going to put little dots around each of the holes. If they actually fill in the holes, just use a dotting tool to take the polish away, and then go in with a black again afterwards and do exactly the same thing. And finally finish off with a tiny little bit of silver inside the holes. Once your fidget spinner is dry, I'm going to go in with a black light reactive top coat, and this is just to make it all a bit more fun really. And again, if any polish goes in those holes, just use a dotting tool or a cocktail stick to make sure they're clear. And whilst we leave our tiny fidget spinner to dry, it's time to do our fingernails, and I'm beginning with a peel off base coat after cleansing and performing cuticle work. I've actually changed the brand of gel I use over my nails to strengthen them, so stay tuned in the next 2 weeks for a video review. Next I'm going to go in with Morgan Taylor Shock Therapy, and I'm going to be applying this to my index finger and my ring finger. Try and get your first coat nice and even, and that's so that you can apply your second coat really quickly and you save time having to tidy up. Then I'm going in with All That Jazz First Class Kiss, and I'm going to apply this to my little finger and my thumb. On my middle finger, I'm going to be using Colour Club's Harp on it, which is a really good holographic silver. And again, we're going to apply 2 coats to each of the fingernails, but on this first coat, try and get it really nice and clean and even. Then we can fly back in with our second coat and be super quick. If you do make any mistakes, just use a brush dipped in acetone or nail polish remover to remove any of the extra polish. Once your second coats have dried, I'm going to go in with a liquid latex barrier and just apply this around my ring finger. And this is because we're going to do some sponging nail art. And now, using a makeup sponge and our pink and purple that we used, I'm going to start by sponging pink all over the nail, and then we're going to go straight in with a purple afterwards and start to blend this. If you're happy after one layer of purple, then that's fine, but if you fancy a deeper look, you can go in with a second layer. For a little extra sparkle, I'm going to go in with a holographic top coat, which just puts a few sprinkles of glitter onto the nails, and it kind of gives this beautiful galaxy effect, especially on the ring finger, which really makes it look wow. And watch this transformation, it's unbelievable. I think I'm going to have to try this design on another set of nails. And then we're just going to peel off that liquid latex barrier and clean up any of the mess that is left on the skin with your brush dipped in nail polish remover or acetone. And my favourite cleanup brush is this one from Uber Chic. And full links to all the products are in the description. And to make our fidget spinner spin, we're going to need a normal little pin and a tiny little bead. Put the pin through the top of the fidget spinner, and then we're going to put the bead on afterwards. Just make sure it still spins. And the bead acts like a sort of washer and helps it to spin as well. And then what we're going to do is I'm taking some old cuticle nips, as you can see they're rusty, and this is just to put a little mark on the actual needle or the pin. And once you've left a little mark, just take your fidget spinner and your bead off, and then with some wire snips, if you need some help from an adult or a parent, you can get them to do this. And we're going to snip our little pin and take the sharp bit away, just be very careful. And what we'll be left with is this tiny little bit of a pin with the pin head. There might be some sharp bits at the bottom, so I've taken some finer wire snips, and I'm just going to snip those off. Then we're going to put this back on our fidget spinner and put it through the top. This can get fiddly because it's so small now. And then we're going to put our tiny little bead on afterwards. It doesn't matter what colour the bead is, I just had black ones. To make this bit easier, I'm using some blue tack and applying it to the top of the fidget spinner and pushing that pin right through the fidget spinner, and then treating it like a sort of little stand, so I can stick this fidget spinner to my desk and then work quite easily. Now I'm taking a pad and applying a little nail glue onto the actual end of that pin, and that is just to hold the bead in place. And then to take off any sharp edges, I'm just using my e-file, which has probably completely and utterly ruined the bit. Turn it up the other way, pop it into some blue tack, and then finish off by covering up the pin head. And then I just wanted to add some more sparkle to my fidget spinner, because I can never leave anything alone. Whilst that's drying, I'm going to go in with my favourite top coat and apply this to my nails. Apply a nice generous layer because we want it to be super glossy and stay chip resistant. Remember to cap those ends as well. Now, whilst it's slightly soft, I'm just taking the fidget spinner and just marking my middle finger. And then once it's fully dry, I'm putting a tiny little bead of acrylic onto my nail. You could just use nail glue if you don't use acrylic. And then with a pair of tweezers, I'm very carefully trying to just embed that bead into the acrylic and hold it there whilst it dries. Then I'm just going to tuck around with a little bit of acrylic around the base. Again, if you've done this with a card fidget spinner, then you can just use nail glue because it'll be a lot lighter. Cover up any nail glue or acrylic with the colour of the nail underneath, so I've used the holographic silver. And once it's dry, just apply your cuticle oil to all of your nails and massage in. And here we go, here is the finished look. Someone had to go there, so why not me? And these are so fun. I loved getting back using some of my professional products again. It's something I've really missed. If you'd like to see me doing more work with professional products like gels, acrylics and gel polishes, then let me know because I am really missing it after I used to be an educator. In the meantime, if you're going to give this a go, let me know. Don't worry if you don't use acrylic, just use Maggie's tutorial and shrink it down to make a tiny little card, fidget spinner, and then just follow the rest of the directions. Leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought of these, and if you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and give me a big thumbs up for videos every Saturday. In the meantime, thank you very, very much for watching. I have been super excited to get this video live, and oh, a little surprise, I forgot to say, they react to blacklight. Don't forget to check out my other videos, peoples, and I will see you again next week.